Watching a child grow up is the most beautiful thing in the world. However, a lot of children die every day. But this is not the same in every country in the world. If we look at, for example, Kenya and Australia, two entirely different countries, we see that in Kenya the child mortality rate is way higher than in Australia. Where in Kenya 22 in 1,000 children die, in Australia this is only 2. A major way to prevent this is by prenatal diagnostics. Let's have a look at Australia. In Australia, pregnant women get first offered a first trimester screening test. This takes place between 9 and 13 weeks and is the most common one. It consists of an ultrasound and a blood test. And in this blood test, a number of different diseases and complications is tested, while in the ultrasound, defects in the fetus can be detected. For example, the first signs of Down syndrome are visible in these weeks. If this test is missed or for some reason not possible, then a second trimester test is introduced. This test takes place between 14 and 18 weeks and also consists of an ultrasound and a blood test. But in this ultrasound, also neural tube defects can be detected. The maternal age, the blood test and the ultrasound results provide us with a risk factor for certain genetic abnormalities. If this risk is really high, then the woman gets offered a diagnostic test. This can either be a non-invasive one, which is an ultrasound test, in which we get a very clear picture of the fetus, and if there are any limb defects or Down syndrome can be really clear, or an invasive one in which a bit of the DNA of the unborn child is collected for further research. Now let's have a look at how things go in Kenya.
So nowadays in Kenya we have 94% of the women visiting a healthcare professional, which means a doctor, nurse or midwife, for a prenatal checkup. That is mainly due to a program called ANC. This program consists of 3 major parts. The first part is providing the pregnant women with information about pregnancy, about drug consume, about alcohol use, about breastfeeding. The second part consists of screenings. Mainly, we have the HIV screening due to the high percentage of people in Kenya being infected with HIV, and for the prevention of mother-to-child transmission. This can be prevented by antiretroviral medication. Furthermore, we have a problem with malaria and with syphilis. For malaria, there's also special treatment, or pregnant women get provided with nets. Additionally, we have a provision of the women with vitamin supplements and vaccinations. The third part of the program consists of the physical examination of the mother. So we check the weight of the mother, the blood pressure, the heart rate, and we also in Kenya try to figure out how the baby maintains by listening to it, by observing the movement of the embryo. Furthermore, we check the pregnant women for infections via urine samples, or if applicable via blood samples, and for anemia via physical examination. We found out that in general in Kenya we focus, due to the lack of high-tech medical equipment and the lack of facilities, on the healthcare of the mother. We try to provide a good healthcare for the mother to maintain her in a good health status. Whereas in Australia, we can actually have a look at the baby, at the fetal and embryonic development via ultrasound or the previous described diagnostic methods. Additionally, in Kenya, we have a lack of financial support for the pregnant women due to the fact that 82% of the women have no health insurance, and we have a lack of experienced medical staff to provide the prenatal diagnostics. Thank you for watching.